No, 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 no. Another comic? Mikey, get in here! Why did you leave this here? You know it's gonna become a crossover now!
It's a piece of crap and I want it out of my house.
Because someone had to leave it here last time. Game Boy number 2. Beanlink cartridge this time. I'm Mad Matt.
And I'm Mike.
And because it hit Mike here, we're going to have to review this. I will also add that I have tried looking for digital copies of this thing. Nobody has it!
Happy.
That's to say the least. Frack, it's the same issue I had with freaking Psycho 4. I mean, good God, there's no way of finding this thing. And people won't charge you $25 to buy this off of them. Yeah. Screw them!
And I only paid,
It wasn't even $2 when you got this thing. Jesus. Oh, God. So, in honor of not being able to find it on the internet, we're going to have to show you it by hand. So, let's start off with our cover. This is actually a scene that does kind of happen in the book, but it looks really confusing. You can't tell what's actually going on here. Is that a reflection of Mario on the visor? Is he actually inside the helmet? What the heck's going on? Although I guess if you look really closely, you can see wrinkles on the gloves here, showing off that there is not an entire human being inside that suit. However, moving on. For some reason, there's a advertisement for the Puss in Boots game from Nintendo. I believe that's actually the toy mascot these days. And over here, we finally get some plot. It turns out that the boys from last time are not in this comic book whatsoever, and apparently it moves on from different kids to different kids. The only thing that seems to be the same so far is Mario and the douchebag. In here we get a quick explanation that the girl with the glasses here is actually going to be going off to some sort of space shuttle thing, but apparently, even though she wants to go to see it, she's actually going to her grandmother's. And that for some reason the stewardess is supposed to be watching over her. Yeah, that's real great child rearing there. Pawn off your duties to other people. Just nice. So after a few more smatterings of dialogue, we get the fact that we go back in time now to a flashback for a while, and we see our douchebag, Herman, who is still a stealing, gitless douchebag who's now becoming more and more unshaven as time goes on. As he's talking to someone on the phone, he decides to grab his Game Boy that he stole, runs outside to the kids that were out there, and hands them off the Game Boy for no apparent good reason. Probably to try and keep Tatanga away from him. Yeah, most likely it's stolen property. That's nice. Pawn off the stolen property on children, you douche. Herman goes for a little bit of a walk. He heads down the block and he sees Simon's Electronics! Game Boy! Now, here's the thing. There's a Game Boy sign here, 3 Game Boys. Here's the 3 Game Boys again, but there's no sign that says Game Boy. Where the hell did this sign come from? And it's not in the next frame where you see the 2 Game Boys left behind either. What the hell, comic? What the hell? Not to mention, apparently he got head sparkles that keep coming after him and also make his eyes completely white. Tatanga has the power to turn Herman into a zombie, a Game Boy stealing zombie. Oh wait, no, it's Youngbloods. There's a few people with all white eyes around here too.
And the cops just have their sticks.
Yeah, for some reason the police are just wielding sticks and they don't have any actual weapons of which to mention.
And then he gets to punch them.
he renders them completely useless with one punch and walks away like nothing happened. And once again, so summons Tatanga and his monsters. They quickly demand that he takes them somewhere that they can conquer and forces him to get into a truck. He starts up the truck, but however, you see caskets falling out of the back of this truck. Isn't that wonderful? Actually, if you read the fine print on these things really close, I mean really freaking close, you'll actually see that they say ironing boards on there. Worst boxes I've ever seen for iron boards in my life. Seriously, that's pretty pathetic. So, for some reason, he decides to take them to an airport, which they immediately take over the airplane where the girl with the glasses from earlier is actually going on.
No one is suspicious at all.
Absolutely no suspicion. And the steward, and actually this steward, the steward guy there is pretty easy about serving people with a head squid on them. Well, I guess it's better than head crabs.
And look at these guys' faces in the cockpit.
Yeah, look at the doughy bastards. And what are they doing to the little girl in his lap? Ew! Nasty! This is why you do not leave a stewardess to watch your children, lady. Gah. Ever seen a grown man cry? Because you're about to, because this is pretty dang horrible. Tatanga, after finding out about the rocket ship from the little girl, forces the airplane to land. Once they land, they all get off the plane, and we get a break part. 2 advertisements! By the way, it should be noted that the Nintendo Comic System is actually Valiant's way of saying that there's actually an entire collection of the Nintendo universe all of itself. It's not part of the regular Valiant continuity, but it will be. But they all kind of somewhat tie into each other in their own Nintendo-verse continuity. That's why there's that thing at the bottom of everything, although it's still pretty stupid to call it a system.
I'd rather read the Zelda one than this thing.
True that, it looks to be kind of based after the actual cartoon series, which will be shown at GeekCon!
Oh, and check out the lovely Game Boy games here.
Volleyball! Ooh. Thrill as you watch some really bad still art of women in bikinis. Boxing! I'd rather be playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, thank you. And Ghostbusters 2! No, seriously, folks, you gotta see this to believe this. Best Game Boy graphics ever! Showing you footage of this game now. And now showing you footage from another game from the exact same system, like, say, Zelda. Oh yes, it's the best graphics ever. You retarded advertising shit. Hell, Pokemon looks better. Get some more horrible advertisements, mostly one for actually signing up for the comic books themselves. It would have been nice. I could have tried to save Valiant, but it's too late for that now. And a Nintendo Power advertisement.
I'm not Fred Savage.
I got big beef chin. I'm the son of Jay Leno. And the Captain N advertisement. Actually, this Captain N looks a lot more entertaining than the actual cartoon, I might add. He actually looks to be blasting something away, and it looks like it's falling apart pixel by pixel. But I digress. Back to the space shuttle. What?
No security whatsoever.
None whatsoever. You said it a mouthful right there. So Tatanga has forced all the humans that were in the plane to take him onto the spaceship and to launch into space for no good reason. The girl, meanwhile, is playing her Game Boy and realizes the only way to save herself from Tatanga is to try and summon Mario in the same way. She actually calls home and asks for help from her sister, to which she finally gets to the right level and... wow, that's very unamazing. Seriously, it's much flashier and better looking when they did it in the first issue. What the hell happened? Did they run out of budget just for the frickin' still art? Mario starts to do battle, but is quickly captured. He is then forced inside of a spacesuit, to which we get our cover right here.
Hat's like gone in the one frame.
Yeah, his hat's gone in this one for some reason, even though it looks almost exactly like the cover otherwise. And in the next frame, his hat's back again for no good reason. He finds the air hole and heads back towards the ship. The Tonga is starting to bark out orders for things to be done around the place while he shoots up the controls for the ship. Mario finally comes back to the rescue, and with the help of the little girl, apparently they managed to make the ship crash. They made the spaceship crash. They were in space. Mario was free-floating. Should this, I don't know, kill them?
And the princess ends up tricking being fainted so that the villains go home.
Their plans are flawed. What would fainting do to help them go home faster? What a limey bunch of bull. And apparently the crash landed in the Small World After All area of Disney. And thank goodness for that. And a little less rubbish from Disney. And that's pretty much the end of this comic.
In a better game.
DuckTales the game. Oh, hey!
In this comic.
I didn't know Capcom made that sucker.
Well, this comic wasn't good or bad. It was kind of that boring.
Yes, this comic is extremely boring. The plot is very nonsensical, even more so than the first issue. But I add that some of the advertising in this is actually kind of amusing. Just for the fact that they're trying to sell you rubbish games, and then also at the same time trying to sell you better comic books from the same series. It's kind of ridiculous. From what I understand, there's only 4 issues of this sucker. We're leaving the majority of the actual review up to Linkara himself. We're just giving you the basics of what happened. Ridiculous, weird, rather read Zelda or Captain N.
I'll even play the Ghostbusters game.
I'd rather play Zelda again. Like, that Ghostbusters game, horrible, horrible game. I've actually tried playing it. It's pretty dang bad. I mean, good lord. Pokemon, as simple as some of the art is in the original trilogy, is better than Ghostbusters 2. Not to mention they don't talk about the gameplay in that thing. The gameplay is horrendous. But I digress. Here's your comic book back. Ah. By the way, you were writing on the back of this thing when you were little, too.
That game looked dumb, too.
Bigfoot. Big stinky foot. Wow. You're an imaginative child, weren't you? Making fun of his old etchings. Anyway. Yeah. Talk in the middle of the video, why don't you?